So I'm Anthony Riggi. I'm with BioCarbon Laminates. We're here exhibiting at FutureBuild, working with our partner Performance Panels, a long-term supplier of compact and laminate solutions here in the UK market. We're really proud to introduce the first in our industry globally in the high-pressure laminate market that has offset completely our carbon footprint. And I think it's an incredibly important message to the industry broadly that carbon is a waste like any other waste. It's just one that we've only recently realized, looking in from a time period standpoint, since the Industrial Revolution, we've been building this enormous carbon debt, frankly, that we are starting to have to pay. So what we've done in the BioCarbon Laminate program is we've really looked at all of our environmental impact from a carbon emission standpoint, and we've more than offset that. So, and that is, of course, through the partnership, because it's not just manufacturing the product and offsetting the carbon footprint of the manufacturing, but it's also all of the handlings and all of the transfers through distribution activities that we have to also be mindful of. So in working with Performance Panels, in evaluating all of those delivery steps, we've even calculated the carbon impact of the material through its storage and its delivery to the final customer, and that customer for us would be a producer of, say, restroom cubicles, which this is a very common product for. Tabletops, this is a very common product. And so now they themselves can receive a material that is carbon neutral. And now they can evaluate their activities and work on offsetting their activities. Well, it first starts off with what is the energy source for the factory itself, okay? Then it also is what is the material. So for us, we're very fortunate. We're producing in Colombia. We're on the Caribbean port of Cartagena, very beautiful place. But we're very fortunate in that country because 85% of the current energy creation is hydroelectric. So so it does start with what is the energy source of that producing country. So that gives us a big head start. The other really big part of that story is that what is the material? So for us, this is paper. So 70% of this is paper, and we think of your brochure that you have in your hand right now as a very, very temporary resource. So we take this highly renewable resource, and the paper industry is really taking mostly from the trimmings, the leftovers from the timber industry, right? So we're using every bit of that resource. And if you think of the tree, obviously, we want as many trees on the planet as we can because they're a great way to naturally absorb carbon in the environment. And so we participate with FSC so that when we are cultivating this sort of resource through our supply chain, we are taking those mature trees, right? And taking from that mature tree is really a responsible way to be synergistic with the forest because, once that tree is mature, it gets to a point at where its ability to absorb carbon is greatly reduced. So if we harvest that resource and we give it the opportunity, that carbon store of the tree, another opportunity of a 30, 40-year life reality, and that's what you have with this type of material, you're doubling down on the carbon story. Now, we're also working in other initiatives, like later this year we'll be pulling from some recycled content into our program as well. But then it's what is the balance? What about the balance of the carbon that we emit? So for us, we are internally controlling our own 200 hectares of forestry, and in lieu of a third-party certification entity, we are using PricewaterhouseCoopers to audit that land, and very scientifically calculate the growth rate of those trees and the carbon absorption of those trees. So then, at the end of its life, at some point, like anything, you have to think of what is going to happen when you dispose of it. And most all modern landfills are using waste-to-energy reclamation, and we can get 95% of the energy that it took to make this material back out of it through thermal reclamation without any harmful emissions into the environment. So it's a pretty good story. Absolutely. It's amazing the response from the specification, the architectural community, but even owners. We're finding owners of fast food chains that came to our booth today really looking at their material choices, looking to shift to materials that are more renewable. I mean, the boreal forest can regenerate in 40 years, whereas a stone hill can take 4 million. So it's, the part of it is what resources are we taking? Are they renewable? What is the real story? And when you start to think about the carbon aspect of a material, you can start to think about choices that are how carbon hungry are they? And I'm not saying that people are going to stop using glass, people are going to stop using stone, but or metals. Metals are great because they're cradle to cradle, and we need metals in our society, obviously, but they're very carbon hungry. And I think it's really important. The big message that I think we have to have is we all need to take responsibility for our carbon.